Okay, so moving on, in this section we're going to talk about the prompt page and all of the information that you'll see and find there. As I said, there's a couple of ways to get to the prompt page. One is clicking directly on the name of the location, and then you can click on any of the individuals that you see at the location to be able to get to their prompt page. So if I click on Training House here, I'll see these are all the individuals that live at Training House, and I could click on Grandma Chase here, and it'll take me into her prompt page. And so this is Grandma Chase's prompt page. The other way that I could get to that is by clicking the plus. On this side, I'll get the drop down, and I'll come down here, and I can click on Grandma Chase. By clicking on that, it'll also take me back to Grandma's prompt page. Now, just to reiterate, once this is open, and we have these buttons here, what the system has done is opened up all of Grandma's prompts and tasks to be documented on and made them available to you to do so. When it does this, it locks all other users from being able to come in and be able to document while you're in it. And so while you're here, no other individual coming into the system is going to be able to come in to Grandma Chase and document while I'm here and doing this training. In order to successfully navigate away from this page and allow someone else to be able to come in, I'll need to either click on the landing page to move away, or I'll need to click the log off button. If I click on the red X, it will lock out all of Grandma Chase's record, say that it's locked by me, and not allow anybody else to be able to come in and document. The only way to unlock the page would be for me to come sign back in, navigate to Grandma Chase's page, and then close out properly, or you'll need to call a nurse or a manager to come in and unlock this page. And so please make sure and take care that every time you leave CaraSolva that you're logging off using the log off button. So some orientation to this particular page. I'm going to slide over a little bit so what you're seeing is a little bit more of kind of just what we're talking about, making it a little bit bigger and easier to see. So on the prompt sheet here, you'll see Grandma Chase. You're going to see where she lives, and then you're going to have some real basic but important information on Grandma Chase that may pertain to giving her medications or treatments. And so here you'll see any allergies, her primary diagnoses, as well as her diet. If there were any nursing notes, you'll remember back on the landing page there were nursing notes flagging, hey, any kind of quick information about people that are going on they wanted to bring your attention to. Those will also be shown here so that you can see that information associated with the person that it was written about. There's also a time right here that'll keep you updated on kind of where things are at. A lot of what goes into CaraSolva is all based on a scheduler. And so we'll come through in a little while, in a later one, and go through these different tabs on the prompt page. But for right now, we're going to look at what CaraSolva calls prompts. And I'm actually going to back up just a little bit on the big side and kind of orient through the different types of things that you'll find here. And so different types of prompts that you'll see will include all of the medications that an individual has scheduled, all physician-ordered treatments that have a medication associated with it, as well as any vitals that may need to be taken in the course of giving a medication. And so if a person has a blood pressure medication in which you have to take the blood pressure before giving it, then we would have blood pressure be one of the things that's in here. And so this is something that may change as we settle in, but we've talked about including more of the regular monthly vitals. But for now, the rest of our monthly vitals and any PRN vitals that you take at a nurse's direction when a person's sick, those will still all go into TheraP. The only things that we will document here are things like blood pressure, to say that a person's blood pressure must be in a certain range before a medication is given. So right now you're seeing everything show as the color red. CaraSolva schedules each item for a certain time, and so our nurses have gone through and worked through the schedule here to say this is when certain things should happen at the house in service of this individual. And so as CaraSolva reads that, it'll say, hey, on 1/17 at 7 o'clock a.m., Grandma Chase is supposed to have a saltwater rinse. And so when 7 o'clock comes up, that item is going to be green, and that's prompting you to go ahead and give the medication or give the treatment. It's in the window to do so. This particular item, it being today being the 10th, is in the red because it's overdue. And so just kind of orient on the different colors that we have here. Red is an overdue item. It's something that can still be documented on, but is past due. It's past the window in which it should have been given. We want to be giving and doing things when they are green. And so green is when they're in the window. And so for medications, this will be an hour before or after what the schedule is. And so for 7 o'clock a.m. item, it'll turn green at 6 o'clock in the morning and stay green until 8 o'clock a.m. At 8 o'clock, it will then turn red. You'll also see some items that are yellow. Yellow will indicate that something is about to become ready to be given. And so for this 7 o'clock item, it would have turned yellow at 5 o'clock in the morning, so 2 hours before it was scheduled, 1 hour before the window opened. And then anything earlier than that is going to be white. Things that are white and yellow are things that you aren't able to document on yet. You'll need to wait until they turn green to do so. And so to do that documentation, you'll utilize these buttons right here. And so we'll walk through what these different buttons mean and how they work at this point in time. Successful, you have two different things. You have a bubble here, and then you have the actual button. And so first we'll talk about the buttons. Successful means that, hey, this particular item was successfully completed. If I click on this, it'll document that I did this correctly. It's going to apply my initials to having the saltwater rinse done for Grandma Chase today. And this section of the MAR will disappear. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on that now. You'll see that the screen refreshes. And after a moment, now it's gone. And you'll notice that now my top item here is no longer the saltwater rinse, it's the blood pressure. And so one of the neat things here that I think our end users and our medication passers are really going to like is as they complete tasks, the things that have been done will go away, and what you'll see on the screen are going to be the things that need to be attended to. So that's the successful button. The next one we have is out. Out is for items in which we've passed out medications, but we may not have directly administered them. And so I think there's three types of outs that we would have. One, if we release medications to a family member who is taking an individual home with them for the weekend, all those medication passes that we normally would have provided while the person was there, we're going to administer those as out. We've dispersed the medications, but we didn't give them, so we don't actually know for sure that they were given. The second type of situation like this is when we send medications to a day program. All the medications for day program come to us and we forward them along. And so those medications will pop up here, and when they're at work and they're getting these meds, we'll list those as out. The third kind is if, as a med passer, an individual has gone out on an outing, and I've sent medications along with another DSP to be able to administer those medications while they're out in the community, and that DSP is not going to be able to sign for those meds themselves. I'll indicate out for those medications as well, to indicate that, yes, the medications from our stock were taken out, they were administered, but me personally, as the med passer, I did not give them, but they were sent out to do that. The next three buttons we have here are refuse, hold, and other. If a medication's refused, you'll click on this here, and it's going to bring up. Oh, sorry, I need to put some numbers in here. It's going to bring up some additional comments. In this space here, I could write why it was refused. Now, if a person wasn't going to do their refuse their blood pressure, said no thank you, I would just put zeros in this section. But if they said they refuse their blood pressure, I would document it that way. Similarly for hold, if a nurse instructs you to hold a medication, you'll click on this, you'll write what the nurse's instructions to you were, and then hit save. Other, we don't have a use for other in the system, and so we will be taking this button away. If you do see it, you shouldn't see it for very long. We'll eventually be taking it away from all individuals' records. The next part here, the next piece I'd like to show you to kind of help speed up, as you notice whenever I click on one of these buttons, the whole screen refreshes and it takes a moment. And so when you're passing a number of items, that's going to slow you down significantly. And so in order to kind of speed up your process, that's what these little bubbles here called radio buttons are for. You can click on these as successful or out, and you can click on multiple. And so if I were to go through here and click on, I can go right down the list, be able to click on all the bubbles that I want to document on. So if one were to imagine that all these are medications, I could go through and click a whole bunch of medications that I'm getting ready to go ahead and pass. And so the process we're using, or we're going to ask people to use when setting up your medications, is that you'll sign into CaraSolva and you'll do your checks using this list here and say these were meds. And I wonder if we can actually find some medications for Grandma Chase. Looks like the majority of her medications have all been documented on. So we'll use these different vitals and treatments just for the sake of doing our piece here. And so say these were medications. I could go through, click on a bunch of these as I'm dishing it up. And so say this was a medication, I'd read it off, do my check, punch it into the cup, and click on successful. And so I'm not clicking successful, but I'm hitting the radio button next to successful. These mean they're all in my cup. Once I have everything dished up, I'm going to go and administer those medications. If they were all successfully given, I could come back through here and click on Administer All Checked. And what that'll do is it'll refresh one time, but apply my initials to each and every medication that I just passed. And so you'll see that they all go away, everything shifts up, and now we've moved on to, we have weight and bowel program showing up here. So this Administer All Check button is something that you should use frequently. It'll allow you to be able to work through the system more quickly in relation to doing documentation. And it should be a regular part of your medication process. So you should be able to get your meds, dish, click successful, pass, and then come back and administer all checked as what you have is here in the cup. We have set the system to not log you out for 30 minutes. And so when you go to be able to pass those medications, you should have some time to be able to pass and come back and administer all the check boxes without getting logged out. And that's perfectly fine. We just ask that you close the lock screen or lay the iPad face down while you're away so that we don't have a person's information up and around, just present for anybody to see. But you don't have to log out each time, otherwise you'll need to go through and re-click all the radio buttons, which we'd rather you not do. And so that's using the buttons here. If you click on something that you didn't want to, say we went out and we had something dished up, we clicked on successful, and then a person refused. And so Grandma refused this here. I can't unclick the bubble. The way that I make that go away is I click on this reset button here. It'll load. And now my weight will look like this. You'll notice all my buttons disappeared when I hit reset. To make those buttons come back, I click on weight, the word, and here my buttons are back, and now I can say that she refused, if that's what happened. If you had a whole med pass with 10, 12 medications all lined up, and Grandma refused them all, you could reset all. It'll close all your prompt windows. You'll just need to open those back up, and then you can go ahead and re-sign all those as refused if she were to refuse a whole series like that. Fortunately, that doesn't happen to us very often, and so while it'll take a little time to work through, it's not something that we do as a regular pattern of service. The last couple of things I want to show you have to do with PRN and narcotics in this and these text boxes. And so in the weight section, you'll see that some of these areas have little white boxes here, and these are text boxes. This is something that's going to require you to put a value in before it allows you to be able to to successfully document on it. So if I click on wait here, it's going to give me an error that says please enter values in all fields marked with a asterisk. And so this is one of those values. I'll hit OK, make it go away, and I'm going to say that grandma. In order for me to be able to document on it, in order for me to say this is successfully done, I need to put this number in here. And so blood pressures, blood sugars, weights, if we have things like that in here, you'll need to put that text in here. You'll click on successful, it'll load, and then go away. And so same with things like blood pressures, we have pulse oxygen percentage, and so go ahead and put those values in here. We're required to do that before you move forward with documenting on this item. The next thing I want to show you has to do with how we're going to do narcotics here and documenting those in the prompt areas, but unfortunately grandma doesn't have any narcotics, and so I'm going to go to our location summary, and I believe that Samuel L. Jackson does have some narcotics. So when I go to his prompt page, I'm going to scroll through here. Please excuse me doing that really quickly until I get down to his narcotics. And you'll see down here, this is what a medication looks like. And so here on 126, he has Vimpat. And so it says he has Vimpat tab, 200 milligrams, and then the order is 1 tablet by mouth twice daily for a seizure disorder. So we're gonna load up that medication. And so say I pull out the pills, I punch 1. I'm going to click that as successful in the radio button to indicate I have it in my dish. And now I'm going to double check that, hey, my count is correct. And so the last count I had was 60. And so now at this point I should have 50. I'm going to go ahead and put the accurate number of tabs that I have left into this piece here. And so if we're missing, if for some reason it's not in here, or if I had only 58, then that becomes a concern. You follow it up, but put the right one in here. We are still working on how we'll meld this into our current system, but please put this in here as we go. If we get a new card, it'll let you put any value in here you want, and it'll update. And so if I got another card here today, say it just came in, and then I was doing the med pass, and I'm the first one to do this, I might now have 89 tabs because and I'm passing 1, so maybe tabs. And then when I click successful, it will update that count to, hey, we should have 89 tabs here at the house. So we're looking into integrating this into our narcotic count procedure. We aren't making changes with that right now because we want to see how all this works together. And so we will continue to use the count books and the initial books as we use them now to count and verify all medication administration. And so in addition to documenting here, you'll need to go into that maroon folder and sign off that you're administering that 1 tab of Vimpat. In addition to the count field, all narcotics are going to have this approved by section as well. This is for companies that require someone to witness the administration of all narcotics. We don't have that procedure here, and this is the one area that CaraSolva will let you successfully document without filling anything into this area. And so we don't use this. We don't intend to start having people use this, and so you can ignore the approved by section. You don't need to put your initials or anybody else's initials into this section. Just ignore it. You can click on successful, and it'll go ahead and put that into the MAR and go away. And so that's the way narcotics will be handled. You'll see here it updated my count. My count is now 89 because I put those extra in there. And this is the next time that the med was scheduled to be given. One last note on the count is that the first time you come in here, it'll say 0. For the first person documenting or passing this medication, please just put the number of pills that you have on site into it. We are going to take a look and assess whether or not we can move away from that other signature book that we have, if this can be our method for keeping count and being able to use this to verify our counts as we go along. But we would like to see this in actual motion and do some directed training on this before we make such a shift, because we need to make sure we have accurate counts and signatures attributing who's passing what medications and what we have on site. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this section out. We have a PRN and over-the-counter section that's coming up next, and we'll go through that here in the next installment.